Hey, what's going on, guys? JTK here. Welcome on back to another top 5 zombies video. In this one today, we're going to be doing the top 5 worst mini bosses in all of Call of Duty Zombies. Now, for this one, we're only going to be doing the Treyarch games, because if we did IW, Exos, and World War II, those kind of games, this list would just be all of those and nothing from Treyarch. And Treyarch's kind of the only game that people care about. So for that, we're only going to be doing the Treyarch games. And I already did the top 10 best mini bosses. Go check that video out. For this video, we're not going to have any specific criteria on what we're going to be ranking these on. Just personally what I find to be the most annoying and hardest to take down. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now, coming in at our number 5 spot, this is going to be going to the Mimics from Cold War. Now, these mini bosses on their own aren't really too bad. They don't have too much health. They're not too much of a problem to handle with on the early rounds. They have some pretty cool mechanics. I do like the aspect and the idea behind it, where he can shapeshift and become many different things. He can turn into different equipment that you pick up throughout the map. Just a perfect boss for what Cold War was built around, which was that idea of just trying to pick stuff up around the map, whether it be from killing zombies or just from naturally playing the game. It's a really cool boss in those aspects. The problem arises when you get into the higher rounds. Their health just increases by a ton, and they become stronger than pretty much any other mini boss zombie on the map. They can have more health than the Orda sometimes, which is just ridiculous. And then when they grab onto you, you have to go through that whole animation of them picking you up and then dealing that damage and then kind of throwing you around the place. It's annoying to go through all that, especially when they get into higher numbers in the later rounds as well. So on the early rounds, they aren't too bad. I don't really hate them that much. But on the later rounds, a lot of people hate these, and they become really, really annoying because of the health, because of just the numbers. The amount that spawn is just ridiculous when you get into the higher rounds. And my least favorite thing when it comes to the mimics is when you have to do the Easter egg on Firebase Z, and you have to go through that annoying step where you have to get the right mimic and put them into that console. And if you don't get the right one, then you have to keep retrying and keep killing more mimics. It can just be really, really annoying. By themselves, they aren't too bad on the early rounds, but when you get into the later rounds or doing the Easter egg, these guys can be a nightmare. So for that, they are definitely deserving of our number 5 spot. Now, coming in at our number 3 spot, this is going to be going to the Thrashers from Black Ops 3. Now, the Thrashers, it's kind of similar to the Mimics. Based just by themselves, they aren't too bad. I do hate them a lot more because they do have the ability to just instantly one-shot you, and you can instantly down if you don't have Jug, which is just annoying to deal with and doesn't really make sense because they don't look like they can deal that much damage. And with one-shot abilities like the Margwa's attack, where you can slam down on the floor and then instantly one-shot you, there's a sense of reaction when it comes to those abilities. You can actually react. You can do some sort of play to protect yourself from that one-shot attack. With the Thrashers, it almost just feels unfair because they just hit you randomly and then you die. It becomes even more annoying with the Thrashers when you have to deal with them constantly spawning around the map in the later rounds, because zombies are constantly getting infected with the spores, and then they just keep coming at you, and it can be really, really annoying and intimidating for newer players. It's also really annoying, again, for the boss fight when you go down into that little area to defeat Takeo, and then there's just so many surrounding that entire area. And then they just randomly one-tap you, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And the worst part, I could excuse all the other stuff that we just talked about if it wasn't for this one thing, and that's the reward. When you kill the Thrasher, you get absolutely nothing. You don't get any points, you don't get a drop, you don't get any kind of unique effect or something cool. They are literally just there to slow down the progression on Zetsubo, and Zetsubo is already a hard enough map to set up on, and the Thrashers don't help at all. So for that, they are definitely deserving of our number 4 spot. Now, coming in at our number 3 spot, this is going to be going to the Nosferatus on Dead of the Night. Now, specifically, I'm talking about the red ones, because those ones are just 10 times worse than the normal Nosferatus. However, both of them are equally just as horrible in terms of mini bosses and zombies, so I'm going to be pretty much just ranking them kind of on the same spot because they aren't too different. Now, the normal Nosferatus are just annoying in general. They spawn in large numbers. They can be annoying to shoot down. They mess up trains because their pathing is just completely messed up. And they do a really annoying effect where they can just completely stop you from regenerating your health. That is obviously just one of the worst things that you can add into a mini boss, especially on Black Ops 4, where the regeneration speed is already incredibly low. Now, if we move on to the red Nosferatus that spawn in if you do the Easter egg side, or if you get past round 35, those are just equally as annoying. but they do have an animation effect, which any kind of mini boss that has an animation that you have to go through every time they attack you usually isn't really loved by the community. Like, you have the mimics, and then you also have these red Nosferatus where they just jump on your screen, they can shake you around the place, and then it's annoying to kind of take them off. They have more health, they deal more damage, and they could just be an absolute nightmare for anything that you're doing on Dead of the Night, whether it be the Easter eggs or going for high rounds. So for that, I do think they deserve our number 3 spot. Now, coming in at our number 2 spot is going to be going to the Avogadro from Transit. Now, this mini boss is just annoying all around. First of all, it's kind of similar to the Thrasher, where he doesn't really reward you with anything. You can kill him, he comes back, and it just gives you absolutely nothing for destroying him. It's really annoying to handle with him as well, because the only way that you can deal damage towards him is if you use a melee weapon or the EMP grenades, which both of those methods are really annoying to do, especially the EMPs, because nobody wants to get those out of the box. And if you just constantly have him around, you can't really ignore him because he just deals so much damage. He prevents you from regenerating your health, and if you're surrounded by zombies, as you can see in this clip, I'm trying to just ignore him a little bit, but he just keeps being annoying, and it's hard to take him out because you have to melee him, and then you have to wait for him to like recharge his health. It's just a really weird boss in zombies, and he just doesn't really fit with the map at all. He doesn't really have much of a purpose than to turn on the power towards the beginning of the game when you're opening up that first door. And when you turn on the power originally, he does have to go through a whole animation that makes you skip the bus. So nothing really positive with this guy. He doesn't reward you. He's annoying just to activate him. He's annoying when he spawns in. He's annoying to take down and kill. And overall, just a very annoying boss. So for that, he's definitely deserving of our number 2 spot. It's kind of iconic that both the number 1 and number 2 worst mini bosses are on one of the worst maps of all time, which brings us into our number 1 spot, which is going to be going to the Denizens on Transit. Now, these guys are just as annoying as the Avogadro, except they are constantly there. If you're trying to walk through the fog, they latch onto your face, and then the only way to kill them is to melee them or shoot them before they latch onto you. It does get a little bit easier if you can get the Galvanuckles, then they're a lot more easier to handle with, because you can just instantly melee them and get them off your face. Or even if you have the Bowie knife, they're also very easy to manage and deal with. But overall, they just make the map a worse experience. The only reason they are there is to encourage players to not go into the fog, to not travel the map or explore or experience anything interesting with transits, which there's very few. But it still isn't an excuse for having these guys around. The only use that they provide is opening up portals so that you can easily travel around the map. But even then, it's still not that useful because the portals take you to a random location. They aren't set to any specific area that you can go to, and they just don't work as intended, especially for a map like Transit where there's too many different areas you can teleport to. Overall, the Denizens were never really meant to be in zombies and were just a huge mistake from Treyarch's point of end. The only reason they were added in was to restrict players from exploring the map because the Xbox 360 couldn't handle the size of a map like Transit. So for that, they are deserving of our number 1 spot. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this video for today. Leave a like, subscribe, do all that. You already know what to do. Go down in the description, check out the Comfy Cushion podcast. Joseph and Lucian, those are my friends that do that over there. And I'll leave their channels for their TikToks down there as well. So definitely go check that out. Leave a comment down below if you want to see me do any other type of content. And yeah, got nothing much else to say. So peace.